Hi, I'm Karen Downing, and this is Spotlight on Frazee. Today we're at the Big T Ranch, and what a beautiful place. I'm here with Toni and Marty Thorp. So why don't you begin and just tell us, where is this ranch and a little bit about actually what's here?
You got this part.
All right, so we are located about 2 miles southeast of Frazee on about 120 acres. And behind us, you can see Fisher Lake. And history-wise, our family, has lived here for
129 years. 129 years.
Since 1896. And would you like to talk about the history?
Sure. So my great-grandfather was a railroad worker. He lived in Fargo and would walk to Des Moines, Iowa every year, which is about 500 miles along the railroad tracks, looking for issues with it, writing them down so they could get repaired. And he would walk with his dog Boomy, so he had some company, and they would walk across the railroad bridge every year, a famous bridge in Frazee, a bridge over water. And as the story goes, every time they would walk over that bridge, great-great-great-grandpa would look over and see all the beautiful water and the gorgeous trees, and he would say to Boomy, "One day I'm going to quit the railroad, and we're going to go and we're going to live there." And in 1896, that's what they did. They quit the railroad, and they moved to Frazee, Minnesota, and bought this property, and my family has lived here ever since.
That's pretty amazing. And that's definitely one of those Frazee stories. There are people who have been here for a long time, and apparently your family's one of them, yeah. Tell us all just a little bit about what's on this property.
Yeah, so like I mentioned before, we have over 100 acres, even more shared between our family. So the homestead where we sit now belongs to Martin and I.
It's about 50 acres, the homestead is.
And then we share about another 60 with Martin's brother, Roger, and his wife, Kayla. Mm-hmm. So we are very lucky to be able to work as a family. And then adjoining properties, which you can see across the lake, are owned by our cousins, Mary and Sandy. So it's awesome neighborhood to live in. And then on the property, we have a lot of trees, this beautiful lake, and we also have cattle, horses,
donkey.
A donkey, orchard space, a lot of garden area. So we are very rich in everything.
You are rich in everything. It's gorgeous here. Absolutely beautiful. Marty, you were telling me about a grandfather that you have and his significance here.
So my grandfather is Ike Fisher. He passed away a couple of years ago now.
2020.
Him and his wife Lorraine were very conservation minded. When he was a kid, this property had been clear cut, as they did back in the day, for farming use. So the trees cut down, all the stumps pulled out so they could plant. And he was instrumental in replanting the property with trees. Most of the trees you see around you were probably planted by Ike and Lorraine. Those large, some of them, not these ones, but yes, I planted many thousands of trees. That's what I did many summers as a child. Those ones over there, those tall pines were, my mom tells a story of remembering when those got put in and jumping over them for fun. And now they're, 50 feet tall. So he did a number of conservation things. What all? Let's see. Go ahead. You can remember on top of your head.
He was also very community-minded. So he went through the process of working with legislation to make it so property owners can share their property and not have to risk liability. And so some of the things that we have on the property from that are our ski trails, cross-country ski trails. And he also worked with the community to open it up to the public as much as he could, whether it was having people come and share his garden and help pick, or just bringing the kids on.
With the conservation tour,
yep.
The ski trails. What else? He helped bring trumpeter swans back to the area, created, so this lake and part of this trail system here are a waterfowl refuge that he worked with. Mm-hmm. What else?
Everything. A little bit of everything.
Yes.
That's quite a legacy. That's amazing. You have a really special event here every year, and I know it involves fifth graders. So who are these fifth graders? Where do they come from? And tell me what they do here.
So one of the things that he noticed and he wanted to change was the fact that not every kid gets to be outside and get to experience what it's like to be in the country, and also raising the next generation to have a love and respect for nature. And so he started the fifth grade conservation tours in partnership with Becker Soil and Water Conservation District, and I'll let you talk about what they do.
So the fifth grade tours have been happening for just over 50 years now. I've helped with them since I was a young teenager. We partner with the Becker Soil and Water Conservation District for, I think, 4 stations. Is that
5.
generally 5 with my
With yours.
with the logging? So Becker Soil and Water generally chooses a couple different ones. They have a birding one. We have birders come out at other times as well. Water quality, forestry. This year they had a new one. It was
Soil health,
which was very interesting. And then I've run the Frazee history and logging one for past decade.
So Marty, you would be an expert on that. And I know you even mentioned to me that you had to narrow down to a 15-minute talk. Yes. Well, give us a couple seconds of what you would talk about.
So I start with, the general history of Frazee, what this area would have looked like back in the day. Reading some of the history books, it's truly amazing the nature that was in this area to begin with. They talked about you could walk out into the forest in the middle of the day and the trees were so large you could look up in the sky at noon and not be able to see the sun, that it would be dark inside the forest. Gigantic trees made this area very popular for logging. Of course, Nichols Chisholm is the most famous of the sawmills in the area. My family worked that sawmill. We have buildings built on the property with wood from that sawmill, and then we generally go into the history of the property. You get the Boomy the dog and great-grandpa story, and then we talk about some of the tools that were utilized. We have some of those over here, 2-man crosscut saw, double-bladed axe, the cant hook, and then this right here, we always have fun with the fifth graders. It's a stump puller hook, because after the trees were cut, you had to remove the stumps to farm. So we get the fifth graders a chance to try and lift this, which I finally weighed today. It took me a long time to weigh it, but it's 97.2 pounds. So they have a pretty fun time with that. They get to handle some of the equipment that's safe. They have to be really careful. We had a fifth grader tell us 2 years ago that she broke her hand using a cant hook with her grandpa. That's a very cornerstone part of the story. Is
show 'em?
Nah, sure. We'll see if I can not break my hand. But cant hook, she was helping her grandpa. All the logging equipment is incredibly dangerous. During this time period, you can hurt yourself. My great-grandfather was injured on the sawmill, but the fifth grader picked up the cant hook, and this hook part fell down and broke her hand. So that's something we can reference now as a modern-day equivalent, which is interesting. And they get to use the crosscut because that's pretty safe, so we mess with that one and talk about what the modern-day equivalents are, which is the chainsaw is always a big hit. Then we have a little sawmill that my grandfather purchased in the early 2000s that we can run and cut a couple boards with. So
you actually have a little sawmill here. I think I drove by it coming in, didn't I?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was 8 foot, but he expanded it to 16 foot so we could cut bigger logs. So it's fun to operate.
Yes, this would be a fun place to come as a kid. Before we close, I would like to ask you, I know that you have some dreams or goals for the future here. Tell us about that.
Yeah, long term, I really think keeping this place in our family is our number one goal. We are lucky enough to be part of the Minnesota Land Trust, so this will be protected
in perpetuity.
For as long as everyone lives. So very lucky there. And then looking at opening it up to more events, opening it to the public, hosting, whether it's art related or seeing the animals or just appreciating the beauty out here is really kind of what we're looking to do in the future.
Yeah, and Toni and I are fifth generation. My brother and his wife are fifth generation, and now they have 2 children that are sixth generation out here, which is pretty special.
Yeah.
So getting to share that with family and friends in the community.
Mm-hmm.
That is very special, Marty. Yes, this is a beautiful piece of the Frazee experience here, and we really appreciate you sharing it with us today.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
So thank you for joining us. This has been Spotlight on Frazee. Let's keep Frazee moving forward.